Well, thank you so much, Tendo, for joining us this morning and coming here to give us and share your thoughts about Ugandan football as we celebrate 63 years of independence. Now, I want to start off here. What are your thoughts on the evolution of Ugandan football since we gained independence in 1962?
Well, before independence, of course, we were on course. 101 years means we started having football in 1924. And we are very lucky that it fell in safe hands because then the setup of the state was you bring everything to the leader. And the leader that football was introduced to was Sadda Udichwa. Sadda Udichwa, having taken up the throne as a young lad, grew up in an environment where he needed regents to take care of most of the administration, just maybe similar to how King Oyo is. And he liked so much to recreate, and he had a lot of peers around. So when football came, he embraced it. And to show that he really valued it, he authorized the making of a pitch, the standard that the British wanted, the lads who brought football. And where we are now is the famous Kakeka zone that emanated from the fact that they made the ground flat, the same way we are doing facilities now. When you say Kakeka means there is no bump at all.
Yeah.
You get it? So they laid the ground, then he started playing with his peers. And one of his closest peers was Prince Badu Kakungulu. And it was him who became the first chairperson. Then it was chairman, not president. Okay. The first chairperson, and the vice chairperson was Prince Badu Kakungulu. And he ran the federation from 1924 to 1934. That is a solid 10 years. And in that time, they did what we are doing now. He started asking his peers, and of course, when the king asks, he's like, the request turns like a command. So they made the ground at Old Kampala, they made the ground at Buddo, they made the ground at Mengo. It started with the schools that had land then. Then it started growing because not everybody was going to play with the king. So the Bakopi would play elsewhere. And then the people at Old Kampala, that was the British now, they also wanted to play. And football being a contact sport, those who were not comfortable letting the king have his way started playing football there. And that is how clubs started. Clubs started like Mengo, Buddo, Old Kampala and all that. Then the old boys of those schools also created teams. That is where you'll hear Old Budonians, Mengo Obis, and all that. So the clubs started in that way. But there were only teams then. But because they had studied and they had the British format, they started making clubs. Like we have rugby club, we have tennis club, we have golf clubs. Because it has to be bigger than just a team and a pitch where you play from. So they had to socialize. Like maybe you would say Rotary clubs. That is how the recreation grew. So all those years, it was still in the formative stages. And then in 1935 up to 44, a British Willie Hunter took over the federation to actually now formalize it into all those things. And that is where now it expanded the rules and everything. Then between 1945 and 1953, another man, Wilberforce Owsley, also a British, came around to be the president of the federation. And it's from that time that it started getting the real federations, because a federation is a conglomerate of many associations. So they created the Buganda Football Association that remained with the king. Then they created the Kampala Football Association, that was with the bourgeoisie of the old Kampala and all that. Then they started making northern, eastern, because they wanted the game to spread everywhere. And it is Owsley now who was in charge, but the vice president remained Prince Badu Kakungulu.
Okay.
All through when it started, he was the one representing the interests of the king. And he was also a former player. By then, now he had retired. So he started scouting the administrators. One of the biggest fish that they grabbed was Reverend Polycarp Kakoza, a young teacher and artist who had gotten fame in 1939 when he composed the Buganda anthem. the Buganda anthem came before the Uganda anthem on independence.
Okay.
So Reverend Polycarp Kakoza was inculcated to become the secretary, now the CEO, from that time. So they started structuring the league. The reforms that we are seeing now started as early as 1945. The only big tournament that was being played across was the Gossage Cup that now became Sekafa. It started between Kenya and Uganda, and it had played on until 1945.
Between only the two.
Yeah, Kenya and Uganda. So in 1945,
The way we see Elgon Cup.
yeah.
So would you say in Tanzania? Would you say at that time also Kenyan football was also just
because the first game between Kenya and Uganda was in 1926. Kenya won it 2-1. Of course, our team had the king and all that, so people
The
started
king was
saying,
playing for the national team.
yes.
for the Uganda national team.
That is how connected FUFA and Mengo are. So when they brought in Tanzania, it was then Tanganyika. And then in 1949, they brought in Zanzibar. So it became an East African Challenge Cup from that time.
Okay.
So all the way to independence, Uganda, Kenya, Tanganyika, and Zanzibar were playing. And we had a time where we really dominated that Sekafa. There was a time where Uganda won 6 in a row.
Wow.
Between 1935 and 1940, 6 in a row. So all that happened. Then after Osley, they brought in the first now local Ugandan. That was Elias Afunsovya between 1954 and 1957. Elias Afunsovya became the president. Now it is him now who put in all the locals into the what? Into the game, because many people feared the authority to get involved in the game.
Colonialists to get
now
involved.
it is that time where now the closeness of the game came to people, and clubs like Express started.